Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monday night meetup group, where these few weeks we're covering um, goal setting and the review of last year, systems and strategies, and what you need to do to achieve your goals going forward in 2021. I'm glad everybody's here tonight. What I'd like to do is get my PowerPoint here running and okay. Wow, this is just funny. Always have problems running this thing. Sorry, guys, hang in there 1 minute. There, can you guys see that now? You guys see that?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
I apologize for that. So, welcome. And tonight we're going to talk about goal setting. This week we're going to walk through the planning and goal setting process. You know, I've spent many years as an entrepreneur. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that small goals yield small results. And when I want to achieve big results, I need to have bigger plans. So, to achieve the best results in any endeavor, you must have a big plan that is driven by being tenacious, using putting forth a little bit more effort, and giving it some time. Patience is a big thing as we're setting goals and trying to achieve those. This approach provides the best possibility for a big win for anything that you're trying to accomplish. I'm sure by now that you've realized that one of the best ways to create wealth is to invest in real estate. Real estate investing can change your life and your family's future. Real estate can provide for your needs and help you reach way beyond them and grab your desires. One of my goals here is to help you achieve your maximum potential and release you from the rat race. We all know that we stay on that treadmill and it's tough to get off sometimes, but real estate can provide the cash flow to do that. The greatest accomplishments are a direct result of a solid plan that guides you from the beginning. You know, Napoleon Hill, he was the grandfather of the power of positive thinking. In 1937, he wrote a book and published it called Think and Grow Rich. The original founder of the 7 principles of habits of higher achievement. Over the years, with several revisions, those have grown to be 16 different principles. These principles were rooted in discovering a defined purpose. Let me share the principles that I have found to be a key to success. They begin with the power of thought, desire, faith, specialized knowledge, imagination, organization, decision, persistence, and the power of the mastermind. And that's what we do on Monday nights here is we get together, we combine our minds, And Hill always said that the power of the third mind is greater than any other resource you can find. And that's when two or more people get together and they create that additional entity. So let me ask you this: what's your why? If you haven't read Hill's book, I encourage you to go get it. Pick up a copy of it because the paradigm shift that you'll go through as a result is amazing. There seems to be a common thread, though, between high achievers and the massive drive for success, and those who always ask why. That drive is fueled by a deep personal desire to succeed. That's really what we call your why. You may have a desire to escape the daily rat race, to overcome financial challenges, or to secure your family's financial future. But really, deeper than that, what's your why? I always try to talk to people about drilling down and finding out what is more important. So let me ask you this: once you discover your why and you've set some goals and you've moved forward, what are you willing to compromise on? Planning and goal setting, along with effective execution, will keep you from making compromises that will negatively affect you or the important people around you. We run at breakneck speeds and we leave little room to breathe or for margin in our lives. Culturally, we are setting a bleak example for breakdown as a result of this super speed that we run at. It's time to notice and make changes and give little back to our families. The residual income that real estate creates is a step forward in getting your life back. The clients I've coached over the years, they've had big wins and have had deep desires for success. And they move from thinking that it would be nice to achieve something to I absolutely must make it a must in my life. They knew that their why and their purpose that followed the steps would outline them for the rest of their lives. You see, it didn't just become something they wanted to do, but it became a way of life. It became part of their DNA. Failure is no longer an option. Have you decided that what your big why is? And do you know what drives you? Is it strong desire for happiness or financial freedom? Think beyond the material things in your life. Pull out your journal right now and write down some answers to these questions. Is one of your goals to buy a new car, maybe a new house, or to take that dream vacation? Those are all great goals, but how are you going to get there? This is all about chasing happiness, right? We're all trying to be happier and thinking that other things might get us happier. But here's what happens. Once that does happen and you achieve that goal, that new car, that new house, that dream vacation, the newness kind of wears off. And once it wears off, that cycle starts over again. So we stay on this treadmill. Happiness can only be found inside of us. So do some soul searching and discover for yourself where that inner happiness is and how do you find it. Let's say that financial freedom is your big why. What I want you to do is I want you to define what financial freedom actually is for yourself. It shows up differently in everybody's life. It can be a certain amount of income. It could be passive income. It could be that dream vacation. So questions guide us. They make us realize things that we haven't really thought about before. And here's how we get there. Tony Robbins, world famous motivational speaker and life coach, tells us to ask better questions. Ask better and deeper questions like, what does financial freedom mean to you? Pick up your journal and begin writing 20 answers to just that one question. If you write down in your journal right now, what does financial freedom mean to you? And you come up with 20 answers, I would guarantee you by the time that you get to 17 through 20, those are real answers. The first 5, anybody can answer those and come up with. The best answers reveal themselves, though, at the end when we really have to stretch our mind and pull those answers out. One of my clients had a key desire that they wanted to create enough passive income that he and his wife would be able to exit the rat race. So here's what they said. They made a declaration that they repeated every day. We desire $120,000 in passive income annually. Reaching this milestone will allow us to leave our current jobs. The smaller outer whys that we develop around that give us the drivers to the main why. So if you look at that declaration, their main why was their desire to have $120,000 in passive income. Because their secondary why was this would allow them to leave their current jobs and exit the rat race. You see how those littler whys, leave their job, exit the rat race, drove them to that bigger why, that goal? See, everybody has small whys, which hold different meanings. Continue to add to those 20 answers on those questions, and you'll see that your why will really grow, and you'll be able to add to this program for yourself. See, there's more goals that we need to think about reaching. And those goals are, I look at them as the spokes on a bike wheel. And you want to try and keep them in balance. But you have spiritual, physical, emotional, educational. These are all potential goals that have a limitless pursuit that we can go after. There's no cap to your potential with the right mindset and the faith. You know, there's that old cliche that says, faith as small as a mustard seed is enough. If your faith is in the right place, there's no doubt that you'll succeed. But again, I go back to having the motivation and the tenacity at the core of everything to help you get to where you want to go. See, one must discover this series of small whys because they lead to a bigger outcome, to that bigger why. This same theory holds true for goal setting. There's many different goal setting models to choose from when you're developing a plan for your goals. The goal planning structure I most often use is what they call a 1-3-5 model. I first was exposed to this by a mastermind group that I was in, that there were a couple of guys from the old Motorola company that were part of this mastermind group. And here's how this works. But you learn what you want to know and what you want to achieve. And if you write down your number one goal as your framework, so let's say that goal is to make that $120,000 a year in passive income. Well, now you have to come up with 3 major tasks underneath there that are going to get you to that goal. So what 3 things will help you get there? You have to invest in more real estate, you have to create more cash flow, maybe you have to raise the rents in the property. But then there's 5 subtasks that need to happen under each one of those 3. And those are the drivers. Those are the things that will get you back to that number one. So how do I raise the rent? Well, I might have to go in and do some repairs. I might have to put new tenants in there. I might have to do a better lease. Who knows what the answer to those questions are? But as you start to walk through this and develop this, you'll figure that out. But that flow of the 1-3-5 to get you to the major goal is the simplest way to build this. So what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to set some goals. Let's take a look at the spokes again. So those goal setting spokes are spiritual, physical, emotional, relational, and financial. What if you were to sit down and pick 1 through 5 goals under each one of those areas? What would your life start to look like? How would you have to start to change your paradigm? Shift your thinking to start thinking of something different, to start thinking in a different way. There was a book written a number of years ago by an author, Jim Collins was his name, and he wrote a book called Good to Great. Sat on a New York Times bestseller list month after month for several quarters. But what he did was he talked about 20 of, of the major Fortune 500 companies in our country that were very successful. These were companies like Johnson and Johnson, Procter and Gamble, GE, Xerox, IBM. Let me ask you a question. Where are a lot of those companies today? They didn't shift when things started to shift. And this is a way that when we're in business for ourselves and being a real estate investor, when we start to see things shift, we need to make that shift. You know, a number of years ago, Collins wrote another book called Built to Last. And that book talked about those 20 companies and who was last, who was left over. And there wasn't but two or three of those companies. You know, if you look at a company like Procter and Gamble today, they used to be really big in the shave industry, right? Look what's happened to that industry. You've got companies that have overtaken it, disrupted the market by Dollar Shave Club and Harry's. These are companies that have come out with different innovation. And you take a company like Procter and Gamble or Gillette, they just haven't been able to keep up. You see, those companies these newer companies arrive at their destination because they have what Collins called big, hairy, audacious goals. So I would challenge you. Do you have a big, hairy, audacious goal? Something that you're willing to put out there and think about and work through? You know, take each goal individually and then build into that 1-3-5 system around it. You know, this isn't something that you can do in one sitting or overnight. I would typically do a goal setting session would take me for a week to put enough goals together that would drive my companies and drive my business, which you start to see come together after time. But here's how we want to look at those goals then. We want to put together what we consider to be SMART goals. SMART is that S stands for specific. So what's specific about what you're trying to accomplish? Hey, maybe what's specific is you need to go out and win 6 new business accounts, or you need to find 6 new property sellers that are willing to sell their property. And then is that goal measurable? So if I use that goal, I want to get to $120,000 in passive income. How do I measure that? Over what time frame? You see, is it attainable? Well, heck yeah, it's attainable. If we can think it, we can attain it. So how do we get there? Well, we set the plan and we work the plan. Is it relevant? You know, let me ask you a question. When you talk about relevancy, is it relevant? Is it going to get you closer to what you ultimately want to accomplish, which might be time freedom, which might be financial freedom, which might be just the ability to make a choice to do something different than you normally do. And then time. Put some time stamps on these things. Hey, you know what? If I want to lose 20 pounds, I can't do it by next week, but there's a good chance I can do it in about 14 or 15 months. So small measurable steps, small attainable steps, small specific steps will ultimately get you there to where you want to go. So this is how we need to look at our goals. So what I would ask you is, have you spent some time, especially since last week, thinking through some of the goals that possibly could have been done, that you maybe could have worked through? Take that journal, write out those goals, go back, think about the 5 spokes on your bike: spiritual, physical, emotional, relational, and financial. Fill some goals in. Then start figuring out what steps you need to take in order to build that action plan around those goals to get you there. So what I want to do now is just open this up for any questions. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Here's my contact information if anybody needs to see that also. But I'm glad you guys were here this evening and had a chance to run through this little presentation also. So. All right, guys, any questions or? Hey, Lan, how are you? You guys are quiet tonight. How come everybody's so quiet? Nothing going on? Lan, we've been talking about goal setting, and I talked about how you need to set some goals for yourself in 5 areas. And those 5 areas being spiritual, physical, emotional, relational, and financial. And as you work through those areas, setting up some specific milestones for yourself and some specific goals for yourself to accomplish and achieve where you want to go. So I used an example of a client I work with who wanted to set a goal to earn $120,000 a year in passive income so that they could make choices to do different things in their lives. This was a husband and wife couple. And we set them up on a plan with some different steps that they needed to walk through to accomplish doing that. So it just kind of left us to where you came in here now, as far as I was just encouraging people that, hey, you should go out and set some goals for yourself, start to build into a business plan. When we start to look at 2021 as a new year, what do you want to accomplish? I know some of the things you're looking at might be to sell your properties, buy something new. Some other people on the call looking to make a move into a little bit more multifamily, things like that. So um, that kind of brings you up to speed from where we're at. But
Thank you.
Tony, any comments?
Sorry, it took me a while. I had to unmute myself.
Oh, that's all right. I had problems in the beginning getting going tonight. Jeez.
The picture's real small up in the top right here. No, I've heard you talk about goal setting before, and every time I listen to it, I enjoy it more and more. I pick up more and more things to jot down. So I appreciate your constant reminder on these. It's very important. If you don't have goals, you don't know where to start with, and you don't know where you're going to go. So this is a great evening tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Hey, Aaliyah, anything? She might not be there. So, anybody have any goals that they'd like to share or talk about that they want to work on for next year that like to maybe start setting somewhat of a plan or? Okay. Well, listen, I am glad everybody was here tonight. It was a good call. And I certainly, I'm available if people have questions or need anything during the week. Don't hesitate to give me a call, shoot me an email, and we'll see what we can do to help you out in over the next few weeks here. Remember, December 7th, we'll be playing Cash Flow, and we'll be back here next week, and then the following week will be December 7th. So, all right. Everybody have a great evening.